So, let's talk about a huge move from one of the biggest names in finance. Visa is rolling out a brand new system that could completely rewire how money moves around the world. And it all starts with a problem that I'm sure you've felt before.
It's a question that, honestly, is kind of crazy in this day and age. Why is it that in a world of instant everything, sending money across borders can still take days? I mean, you can fire off an email to the other side of the planet in a blink, but a wire transfer? That can feel like it's still traveling by steamship.
And hey, it's not just us wondering about this. A top exec at Visa, Chris Newkirk, flat out calls the current system fundamentally outdated. And look, this isn't just about convenience. For businesses, this lag means that real hard cash, working capital, is just stuck, floating in cyberspace while it's in transit. That's the exact problem Visa is trying to fix. So what's their big idea? Well, Visa is essentially building a new digital superhighway for money. And the vehicle of choice for this new highway? Something called a stablecoin. So let's quickly break down what that actually means.
All right, so stablecoin might sound a little techy, but the concept is super simple. You know how Bitcoin's price goes on a wild roller coaster ride? Well, a stablecoin does the opposite. Its value is pegged or locked to a real-world asset, like the US dollar. So one coin is designed to always be worth $1. It's basically a digital dollar. And that stability, well, that's the whole ballgame. That's what makes it so useful for actual payments. So let's put these two systems head to head. The old way, we're talking days. It only works during banking hours, and your capital is tied up. The new way that Visa's testing, it's pretty much instant. It runs 24/7, yep, even on weekends and holidays. And it unlocks all that money that used to be stuck in limbo.
Okay, so which coins are we actually talking about here? For this big test run, Visa is zeroing in on two of the most established stablecoins out there. You've got USDC, which is pegged to the good old US dollar, and EURC, which is pegged to the euro. Think of them as the digital dollars and euros that'll be flying down Visa's new payment highway.
So, how does this all work? What's going on behind the scenes to make this instant magic happen? It's actually way more straightforward than you might think.
It really boils down to three simple steps. First, financial partners like banks preload their accounts with these stablecoins. Then, and this is the absolute key, Visa agrees to treat those digital coins just like they're real cash. And from there, the money zips across the globe instantly using Visa's massive existing network, Visa Direct. No more waiting around for a bank to open or for some wire to clear. It just goes.
Now, this pilot is cool, but let's be real. It's just the beginning. What we're really seeing is a small part of a much, much bigger race to build the future of finance. Let's look at a few numbers to really understand the scale of what's at stake here.
So far, Visa has settled over $225 million using stablecoins. Now, on its own, that sounds like a huge number, right? And it's definitely a solid proof of concept. But to really get what's happening, you have to see it next to this number. $16 trillion. That's how much money Visa moves in a single year. Suddenly, that $225 million looks like a tiny drop in a massive ocean. And that's what shows you the unbelievable potential here. If even a tiny fraction of that $16 trillion flow shifts over to this new system, well, that would be a complete game changer for global finance. And Visa isn't just building this in a vacuum. The entire market for stablecoins is already worth over $300 billion. They're tapping into a huge existing pool of digital cash that's just sitting there, ready to be put to work. But here's the thing. Visa is definitely not alone in this race. Swift, the old giant of international payments, is building its own blockchain platform to compete. At the same time, you've got these nimble startups like Red.Pay and Bastion raising tens of millions of dollars from investors. Everybody sees where this is headed, and the race is officially on. Okay, let's zoom out one last time and tie this all together. Why does a pilot program from one company really matter so much? What is the bigger picture? If you remember just three things from all of this, make it these. First, when a powerhouse like Visa gets on board, it gives a massive stamp of approval to the entire blockchain space. Second, this is a huge signpost pointing to the future. Instant 24/7 money all over the world. And third, on a really practical level, it solves that huge business problem we talked about. It unlocks all that cash that used to be frozen solid on nights and weekends. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty big question to chew on. As these old financial systems start merging with these new technologies, are we just watching the next step in the evolution of banking? Or are we witnessing the very beginning of its replacement?